Us is a horror movie, written and directed by Jordan Peele. He produced it alongside Jason Blum and Sean McKittrick, making this the third collaboration that these three have worked on together, the first being Get Out, and the second being BlacKkKlansman. But is Us as good as those two films? Well, let's take a gander at it to find out. Us begins in 1986 on the Santa Cruz Pier, where a young girl named Adelaide is at a fairground with her parents, but she gets separated from them and seeks refuge from a storm in a mirror house, where she comes across her doppelganger. In the present day, Adelaide has grown up into Lupita Nyong'o and is returning to Santa Cruz with her husband Gabe and her kids Zora and Jason. But during the night, a mysterious family appears in their driveway. This family is made up of their doppelgangers, and they seem to have a murderous intent towards our main characters. And thus begins a terrible night of survival. Having loved Get Out, I was as excited to see this movie as much as people were excited to see Unbreakable after The Sixth Sense. But, much like people's reactions to Unbreakable, I came away from this film feeling pretty underwhelmed. Is it because I hyped up the movie too much for myself? Well, no, I don't think that's the reason. I knew I'd seen a good movie, but for some reason it didn't leave me with the same ovation that I would have given Get Out. Which is bizarre because the positives of this movie are as good as Get Out, if not even better. The cinematography was beautiful, the score was eerie and fun, and the direction was smart. The best aspect this film has going for it is that its acting is top-notch. The actors have to give themselves and their doppelgangers very distinct personalities and mannerisms, with Lupita Adelaide standing out the most, particularly since she's the focus of the film. So if these aspects of the film are good, if not better than Get Out, why do I feel underwhelmed? I believe it has something to do with the film's themes. Not that they don't exist or that they're confused, but instead that they're more difficult to figure out than they were in Get Out. When I watched the film, I believe that it was about how when we lose our inhibitions, we also lose our humanity. But then different symbols would come around and it would reveal different ideas. At first I thought the film was confused in terms of its theme, but then it occurred to me. It was that way by design. In interviews and Q&As on this film, Peele has stated that there are multiple ways to see this movie, and that every item within the movie was actually there and used on purpose, all to help create a personal experience for the viewer. This got me thinking that this isn't the first time a film like this has existed. Movies like Donnie Darko and My Neighbor Totoro exist with a cohesive narrative that seem to lead people to draw different conclusions on what they mean. In fact, the reigning champion of this kind of phenomenon is The Shining.
Come and play with us, Daddy.
It has a great cast, wonderful cinematography, a creepy score, and a narrative that makes sense, but it's the interpretations about it that make it fascinating to people. In fact, it's so fascinating that there even exists a documentary on what the film supposedly means. And the same thing occurs here in Us. It's a movie that can be interpreted in multiple ways, and there's no one real thematic understanding. It is based on your own personal ideas, and that's the intention. And impressive yet, it's still a horror movie first. This film is really awesome. If you loved Get Out, you'll definitely love this movie, though you will have to think a little harder if you're going to go looking for meaning. I'm going to give this film a 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.